It is the oldest question humans have ever asked, not just for philosophers, not just for theologians. It is the question that arrives without warning, when someone who did everything right loses everything anyway. When a good person gets the diagnosis, when the honest one gets betrayed, when the innocent suffers most. Why? Every major religion has attempted to answer this. Not one ignores it. And what they say, across thousands of years, across traditions that share almost nothing, is more surprising than you might expect. Judaism. Judaism does not flinch. The Hebrew term is tzadik varalo, the righteous one to whom bad things happen. The entire book of Job is built around it. Job is a good man who loses his children, his wealth, his health. His friends insist he must have sinned secretly. God appears at the end and rejects this completely. Suffering is not always punishment. What Judaism offers is not a clean resolution. It offers something harder and more honest, the permission to argue with God. The word Israel itself means one who wrestles with God. The tradition does not ask you to accept suffering silently. It asks you to stay in the question. Christianity. Christianity centers its entire theology on a good person suffering unjustly. Jesus, in Christian belief, is wholly innocent and wholly suffers. The cross is not an accident. It is the point. The Christian answer is not that God prevents suffering, but that God enters it. Suffering is not proof of God's absence. It may be where God is most present. C.S. Lewis, after his wife's death, wrote that grief felt like a door slamming shut, but concluded that suffering strips away false comfort and forces a confrontation with what is actually real. Christianity holds that pain endured faithfully is never wasted. It transforms in ways that ease cannot. Islam. Islam's answer begins with one word,
sabr.
Usually translated as patience, it means something deeper. Steadfast endurance, the refusal to be spiritually destroyed by what cannot be controlled. The Quran states that God does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. Suffering for the righteous is not punishment. It is elevation. The Prophet Muhammad taught that even a thorn that pricks a believer removes a portion of their burden. Suffering purifies. And Islam holds that this life is not the full picture. What appears as loss here may be answered in ways the living cannot yet see. Hinduism. Hinduism brings karma, one of the most misunderstood ideas in any tradition. In its full form, karma operates across multiple lifetimes. What appears as unjust suffering in this life may be the unfolding of causes set in motion long before, causes the sufferer cannot remember or perceive. This is not cruelty. In the Hindu framework, the soul is eternal, evolving across countless lives toward liberation. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that the soul itself is never truly harmed. What suffers is the body and the ego. What endures cannot be touched by circumstance. Buddhism. Buddhism begins not with God, but with an observation. Suffering is universal. The first noble truth, dukkha, holds that life by its nature involves suffering, not as punishment, not as anomaly, as a feature of existence itself. Buddhism does not ask why a specific good person suffers. It asks why anyone suffers. And its answer is attachment to outcomes, to permanence, to the idea that the world should be other than it is. Suffering is not caused by external events. It is caused by the gap between what is and what we demand should be. The path out is not the removal of difficulty. It is a mind that can meet difficulty without being destroyed by it. What they share. 5 traditions, thousands of years apart. Not one says that suffering is meaningless. Not one says that good people suffer because the universe is indifferent. Each, in its own language, says the same thing underneath. That suffering is not the end of the story. That what cannot be explained from inside the pain may carry meaning only visible from further away. They do not all agree on what that meaning is, but they agree that it exists. That may be the oldest consensus in human history, and perhaps the most important one to remember at the exact moment when it feels least true.